welcome to episode 24 of Baki, Defeat. We finally reached it, what our cast of characters have been searching for. Just a taste of this whole season. This is the Defeat. And to talk with me about this incredible episode, I've brought back fan favorite, my sister, Kathryn.
Hello. Welcome to Baki Talkie Celebrity Edition.
Wow. Glad to have you back. I haven't figured out what are good questions to ask now that, I've already had you back. I've already asked you the initial questions. Can you think of any good questions to ask yourself?
First of all, great interviewing right off the start here. Questions for me, I guess maybe what I remember from the last time.
So, Kathryn, what do you remember from the last time? All the way back on, I believe you had episode 6. So it's been a while.
Yeah, Spec and the Hanayama three-mouth dude, they were fighting. Spec died of old age, and then Doyle crashed through a window.
Yep. All right. Well, man, Doyle's had quite a journey since then. Well, let's go through this episode, and I think it has a lot of characters you've never met before and some familiar faces. So this episode, like every episode of Baki, picks up right where the last one ended off. Yanagi, the poisoner, was laying defeated, basically, in front of Yujiro Hanma, and Mitobe was also there.
The stories I've heard over the years, they're all true. The world's strongest is a worthy name.
I couldn't care less about any of that bull. That means nothing to me. The only thing I'm interested in hearing out of you is this. Are you willing to accept defeat, or are we not quite done yet?
Yeah, do you want to just describe...
Is this the guys? Like this dude, he's one of the guys that wanted to be defeated?
Yes. The guy on the ground is Yanagi, the poisoner. He can poison you with oxygen, and a bunch of other things.
Well, let me start with my perspective going in blind, because... What was his name? Yanagi?
Yanagi, yeah.
Yanagi. So he's kneeling on the ground. He's talking to the big dude. And he's just like, we've never met before, but you're so strong. And you're very strong. And goes on like that. It's very chill, very calm. And then they cut to a wide shot and his hand is cut off and he's just bleeding out of his hand. But it's not like the center of the shot. It just wasn't included in the first couple of shots.
Yeah.
So suddenly you're like, oh, his hand's been cut off. So I'm assuming the fight has already taken place.
Yes. Yeah. The funny thing was he fought the other guy. Yujiro just showed up after the other guy cut off his hand and stabbed him in the leg.
Also want to point out that in a lot of the shots, the blood is not flowing. It's just like a solid mass. It's like a puddle that's not moving.
Well, he just says, the problem is when you have so much blood spurt out whenever you get cut, if it just kept bleeding that much, it would just be comical, you know? Like it sort of has to be.
Well, I think the intention is that it's supposed to be constantly bleeding. I think they just didn't animate it.
That is true. It does sort of look like it should be moving. It's like when you go to I actually don't know if I was gonna say it's like when you go to Body Works. Do you remember that exhibit with the real human bodies?
I do remember that exhibit.
I was gonna say it's sort of like Frozen, like they were, but I don't want to go down that whole rabbit hole.
Let the Baki people make that exhibit.
Oh my god.
Baki figure.
They would glue 4 guys together to get the muscles of one Baki figure.
Oh. Listen, donate my body to that when I pass. I want to be part of the Baki Body Works exhibit.
Oh my god. I read the worst story. It was this woman whose body was donated to science, for cancer research or something. But then the foundation sold her body to the government and they just fired a missile at it. Can you imagine?
I mean, that was a lot of the Body Works bodies too.
So we're on a bit of a tangent here. So Yanagi is, bleeding. He's missing a hand. Yujiro Hanma says, do you admit defeat? And of course, this man whose sole passion in life was tasting defeat, of course, does not admit defeat.
Are you willing to accept defeat, or are we not quite done yet?
Mr. Hanma, you are the world's strongest, and without question you are superior in every way. But...
Don't say it, you fool. He'll kill you.
But the decision as to who won or lost this fight is not yours to make.
Were you surprised by that? Like, did you think that he was going to give up?
No, I feel like I never think they're going to go like, you got me. Like, you did it.
You have
like,
defeated me.
I think all of these fights are going to be fights to the death. I don't think there's any other way that they're going to admit defeat.
Yeah, well, there's not much else to say about this scene, honestly. Shibukawa shows up. He made his way through the imaginary door. And then...
Who was that dude?
So...
First of all, they're all in this, like, children's playground. And then some other dude just, like, shows up.
First off, children's playground is canonically where men go to fight. But Shibukawa spent the whole last episode... He knew that coming here would be so dangerous that his mind had created illusions to trick him into not coming to this park. Like, his mind would create a giant gate, but then he could just walk through it because it was an illusion. It was
Amazing.
It was a lot of build-up for him to just show up and do absolutely nothing.
Well, it's nice to know that showing up was a personal triumph for him. That adds a whole other layer to the scene.
You're right. It was like a little win for him. But yeah, the scene ends with Yujiro just kicking Yanagi in the face, basically to death. This was more or less the last time we see him.
Did he kick his face in half? Like, they show his teeth flying out of his face due to this kick.
He had already sort of gotten his face cut in half with a weight on a chain, but I do think that Yujiro's kick also broke most of his face in half. So, yes, I guess.
Wow, what a way to go.
Yeah. So then, after Yanagi, we go to the final death row inmate who has yet to taste defeat. Living in a cave off of the seaside with some crabs, we meet Doyle. So the last time you met Doyle, he jumped into the classroom. He looks a bit different now. Can you describe what you were thinking when we met Doyle?
Well, I will say, I told you I accidentally watched a little bit of the wrong episode before this.
Mm-hmm.
And Doyle was in that, and he had an eye patch. That was a real big part of that. So now he's talking about his non-eye patch eye and just going like, I can't see.
Yeah.
But from my other one though, like, he seemed very agile and just leaping into classrooms. So I don't know how he ended up in the sea.
So Doyle ended up befriending the good guys. He became friends with them, and they chartered a boat for him to go to the Middle East. But then, before the boat could leave the harbor, Yanagi snuck on board and punched him in the eye with his fist. The very fist that was cut off, because that's actually a poison hand, and it poisoned his eye, making him go blind.
That's rough.
It really was rough, because Doyle had like a nice redemption arc. Like he was a death row inmate before. I'm sure he's killed people in the show and before the show, but he turned it around. Anyway, the last we saw him, he jumped out of the boat.
Once you seek defeat, you can't. There's no backseas. You can't then go, oh, never mind. I don't seek defeat anymore.
Yeah. To be honest, I think that's probably literal. Like, if you give up on seeking defeat, have you not found the defeat?
Very deep. Very deep stuff.
That's from my favorite philosopher, Itagaki. Anyway, so Mr. Oliver, who I'm sure you probably haven't seen before, apprehends Doyle, who I don't know how he found him. Like, Doyle was literally living in a cave in what I assumed is the middle of nowhere.
Good evening to you, Mr. Doyle. How are you doing?
And he bear hugs him to death. It's unclear.
So he shows up, and then he goes, "Looks like you're blind, Doyle." And then Doyle is enraged and like tries to hit him in the face, and for some reason it doesn't work. And then he grabs his like head and then looks at him in the eye. Like I don't understand why Doyle's attack didn't work. Was it because he was blind?
I'm sure that played into it, but Mr. Oliver is he's just built different. He is incredibly strong, and his main form of martial arts is letting people punch him in the face, and then he can do whatever he wants.
Like, is his face invincible? Like, he doesn't, if you hit him in the face, he just doesn't feel it?
It would be like if I tried to punch Superman. Doyle's just not on the level where he can deal damage to him. It's a little bit almost like
I mean, he doesn't look
logic.
Yeah, he doesn't look that much stronger than like any other buff dude in the show.
Well, he had his like Hawaiian shirt on, so he doesn't look as buff as when he's like fighting people.
Is it the mustache that protects him?
The tiny little mustache. No, it's it's his workout routine. His neck is incredibly strong. We've already learned. And also his arms, his waist, pecs. He's basically the strongest guy around in pure brute force.
Well, that's fitting for him to have the final defeat.
Yes. So did you enjoy so after Doyle loses, there's a little montage and we get a flashback of all of the death row inmates in their defeats. So I'm sure you would have recognized Speck in his aging to 100-year-old man. Did you enjoy the other flashback defeats?
Very honored that I was witnessing the culmination of all of the lead up to this moment, to the defeat. I was surprised it happened about like 7 minutes into the episode. I would have thought that would have been a real like end point for an episode, but nonetheless, it was a great little montage.
24 episodes of build up, and it just ends with Doyle in a cave at the 6-minute mark of the episode. It's truly
and
incredible.
They just move right on.
Yeah, what did the narrator said? It was something like,
I want to taste defeat. That was their wish. Driven by that overwhelming desire, they had converged on the land of the rising sun, and now their wish had come true.
Their wish, they had come to Tokyo to taste defeat, and their wish had come true.
And then we cut to the moon, and then Kozue's making soup.
And we're done with that. And for 4 out of the 5 inmates, like, if you followed the manga, like, they're never mentioned or seen again from that moment on.
Well, aren't they all dead?
No, none of them are, also. Funnily enough.
Oh.
That'll be the end of the season. We get a little bonus episode. I mentioned this before, but so the Death Row Inmate arc finished in the early 2000s, and these characters haven't mattered in about 20 years. But when the anime came out, they asked the author to just write a little special issue saying, what are they up to now? So there's a little bonus episode that we're going to get at the end of the season that wasn't in the original story that says what they're up to now. But I think the original intention was that...
It's Netflix. It's Netflix. They have to have the reunion special. It's like Love is Blind.
Oh my god. Just for the listeners, just to recap, because I know this has been 6 months of this journey, like 24 weeks of plot. So in order, Speck was the first death row inmate to be defeated, of course. We all remember how he...
But he is, in fact, 97.
Next up was Dorian, who was punched so hard he regressed to the mind of a child.
Candy.
Then we had Sikorsky just one episode ago, who had so much sand thrown at him that he gave up.
Stop! You win! You win! Just stop hitting me, please!
And then in this episode, we had Yanagi, who was hit with a rock, or was kicked in the face by Yujiro. And finally Doyle, who was given a big hug from Oliver. So, big ups to all of the death row inmates, and thanks for their service.
I can't wait to catch up with them in the future and see what they're all up to since the events of the season.
Neither can I. So Kathryn, up next. It's funny because, yes, this was the culmination, but I actually brought you on because I just really wanted to get your reaction to this next scene. So we cut to Kozue and Baki, who we have not seen in about 3 or 4 episodes. And yeah, just what's happening?
Well, Kozue's made some soup. She's really put her heart into it.
Ow, that's hot.
And then she goes, Baki, come and get your soup. And Baki, I don't remember if he tries the soup, but he's not eating as much soup as he should.
Yeah.
So Kozue's very upset. I think she cried.
Wait, you're done? Don't you want seconds?
Sorry. Don't have much of an appetite.
Baki, what are you talking about? This isn't like you at all.
I think at first she's like, oh, is the soup bad? And then she's like, wait, Baki, something's wrong.
She's really perceptive, picking up that something might be wrong with Baki.
Well, I wasn't sure at first because it's been a while since I've seen Baki. And I know recently with Kozue, he's gone through some changes. I wasn't sure if that was related to this or if he's just looking weird. But it turns out he is being weird because he is something's wrong.
Yes. So a few episodes back, Yanagi, before he got his hand cut off, slapped Baki with his poison hand. It didn't seem to do anything at the time, but Baki is now gray. He is emaciated. He looks like he's about to die, and also he's still like super shredded. Like he's like.
It's amazing. I know it's like later that he like takes the shirt off, but it's like it's as if he's lost 100% of his fat and none of his muscle. like he's still as buff as ever. It's just like it's like usually you see the outline of like the skeleton when they draw people really skinny, but you see the outline of like all of his buff muscles.
It's the type of thing where in another show that reveal would people just be going, he's so shredded, oh my god, but in this show it's like he needs to be hospitalized. He's lost so much weight. Oh my god.
Well, and I also like that he's like Kozue's like, Baki, we should go to the hospital. And then he's like, oh, okay, I guess. And then in the next scene, he's like passed out in the hospital.
Yeah, he doesn't know. Like, he doesn't feel like there's anything wrong. Meanwhile, he's just sitting around dying. I don't know. Also, the fact that, like Baki and Kozue, like, they're, what is it? They had sex a few episodes back, but, like, they're in a relationship. Like, how has it taken this long for Kozue to notice that he has lost this much weight? Like, I don't know.
Well, they hadn't had soup until now.
I see.
She didn't have anything to cry over because like she wanted the soup to go well and it didn't, so she like lost it.
What if they went to the doctor and the doctor was just like, he's actually fine. He told me that he hasn't been eating your soup, and so he's just lost 50 pounds over the last few weeks.
Honestly, you could just have the exact same scene of Kozue running away from the hospital in tears. It would be the same. You could just reuse that scene. She'd have the same reaction.
It's a miracle, in fact, that he's still alive.
After eating that horrible soup. By the way, before we get to that, did you notice how buff the doctor was?
No, now I've got it. Okay, I do remember him. I was mainly caught by his hair.
Yeah.
His hair is quite glorious.
So that's
very pretty.
So that's Kuroha, who is another fighter, and his thing is that because he's a doctor, he knows how to like fight you using the human body. But we've never seen him fight. He just does a lot of doctor stuff.
Yeah, I guess he would be an expert on how to save and how to destroy the human body.
It's funny that you say that when that's like a direct quote from this season is that doctors and martial artists are two sides of the same coin. one of them heals the body and the other learns how to destroy it.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
If that's something that only the martial artist would say, and I don't think a doctor would ever say. But it's 100% true. I don't even know if I can explain why I enjoyed it so much, but like probably my favorite 10 seconds of the season was after Baki went to the hospital and it cuts to all of his like friend fighters being like, Baki's in the hospital?
Are you sure? Understood.
Yes, it's Baki.
Which hospital?
He's which hospital? Like Doppo, Retsu, Hanayama, and Katsumi all get the phone call at the same time. Like, oh, and Shibukawa too. I don't know.
Happy to see Hanayama again, but I assumed they were gonna fight him. Like I assumed they were going to the hospital to beat him up. We missed the scene where I think it's the cop guy that killed Doyle. He is able to read like the DNA chart.
It's a little weird thing with Oliver, but he's also like the perfect man. Like he has his own library and he's read every book in it. He's a Renaissance man.
Wow. I just like the doctor's reaction, being like, I should hire him.
I think he would fit in. That would on just the juxtaposition of those two working together. This little tiny doctor man and Mr. Oliver as his like assistant would be very funny. Also, the other doctor, like Kuroha, had some really great lines this episode. Like just like so blunt, like basically all but saying like, "Sorry, Kozue, he's going to die."
Kozue, it's bad. You need to prepare yourself.
Isn't there something you can do?
His condition is only going to get worse. It's a miracle, in fact, that he's still alive.
Like, there's nothing modern medicine can do for Baki.
Well, I mean, he's not a normal man, so.
That's like a quote out of
what can normal medicine do?
The key word is a normal man.
Sure, any normal person takes that kind of beating. It's game over. But the key word there is normal.
This is like a brief callback to Oliver, but I've always enjoyed Mr. Oliver, partially because of the fact that he's like a smart guy. But he honestly seems like one of the only characters in the show who has fun in life and who enjoys his job. And that's why I was so happy to meet our new character for the episode, who is also a guy who seems to enjoy his life. Should I spoil who it is yet? Do you think we should name the character?
I don't know. It's quite a reveal. What I will say is that this new character could compete on Claim to Fame if he wanted to.
Claim to Fame premieres July 11th on ABC.
The reality show if you're related to someone famous. All right.
Yes.
We'll reveal it when the episode does. We'll just call him Kozue's friend. So Kozue runs out of the hospital crying and ends up on a bench. The animation on that run was amazing also.
Well, and she keeps her hand in the brushing away her tears position. like the whole time. Like she doesn't actually brush away her tears. She just keeps her hand there.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
So
Also, I don't think she says a word this scene. Like every time he says something to her, she just goes, "I can't stop crying."
I'm sorry, I can't stop.
Like she doesn't answer any of his questions.
Kozue is such an amazing character. But yeah, so Kozue is crying on a bench outside the hospital, and Kozue's, you know what, screw it, I'm saying it's his name. It's Muhammad Ali Jr. He wanders up to her and says,
"Do you think you could give me some directions?"
Amazing, just, you know, social timing and context awareness. He realizes that this was the wrong time to ask, and they talk to each other. Did you notice any chemistry between the two? Any sparks flying?
Well, I mean, Baki's about to die anyway, so Kozue's got to keep her options open.
A door closes and a window opens, you know? Yeah, so they have a nice conversation. He gives her a little green boxing man that he has in his pocket as like a good luck charm, which is usually something I think that like a grown man would give to a child who was going through something tough. Not so much like...
Well, I love that even the comfort stuffed animal is like a buff dude in short shorts. Like he's like a green, like he's not like a human. He looks a little bit like a frog, but it's still like a weird comfort item to give somebody.
He should have just given her a little figurine of himself. Here, this is what I use.
He may as well have. Can I just say that when he's leaving, she's like, "Don't you need this?" And then he's like, "I found that I don't need it." And then he walks away.
But wait, don't you need it?
Thanks, that's okay. I found that I actually don't anymore.
Yeah, why was he carrying it this whole time? Oh boy.
He just doesn't need it. He's that good.
He also went the wrong way, and so he's bad with directions. So yeah, so it turns out that Muhammad Ali Jr. has come to Tokyo to fight Dave.
Come on, Dave, let's call it a day.
No way in hell.
Dave is a very buff-looking guy who has beaten up every sparring partner he has, but he's waiting for a mysterious fighter to show up, because at this point in the episode, we don't know it's Muhammad Ali Jr. So this is my favorite part of the episode. His promoter says,
"Then how come I've never even heard of this guy, Dave? I've been in the fight business for years now. I know all the ranked fighters, and if this guy mattered, I'd know him."
His name is Muhammad Ali Jr. How can you claim that you know all of the fighters out there, and you're just like, Muhammad Ali Jr.? Who's that? How does that happen?
Yo, this guy is like Frankie Jonas on Claim to Fame, which he hosts, and he doesn't know any of the celebrities. It's very similar. But yeah, and they're not even like, it's not like a boxing match. Like they're in like a locker room sort of deal. Like they're just in like a gym that looks like it's in like an office building.
Yeah. It is an office building, isn't it? It's the Take building. Like, didn't seem like it was like a gym or anything.
Well, it does have like a boxing ring in it.
Yes, there's a boxing
but the floors
ring.
are like, it's like an office tile floor.
Maybe Dave is like in accounting and like he's just using the company weight room to fight Muhammad Ali. That's his boss who's telling him, "Dave, come on, we got to get back to work." Anyway, yeah. So Muhammad Ali shows up, and
Muhammad Ali Jr.
You're right, Muhammad Ali Jr. Sorry, shows up.
I don't think Muhammad Ali would show up in the show. That would be insane.
That would be absolutely ridiculous. By the way, if you're wondering how Baki got away with this, if you were to read this in the manga, it is Muhammad Ali is spelled Alai, so it's like Alai. However, they do not pronounce it like that in the show. So, also, it is like the equivalent of saying like, "This is my own character, President of the United States, Barack Obama." Like, it's, I don't think it would hold up in the court of law.
Well, but the English wouldn't be like the official what the like legal stuff would be based on, maybe. Like maybe that's how they got away with the pronouncing stuff. I have no idea how that would work in legal stuff.
Yeah, no, we'll see. But yeah, Muhammad Ali Jr. Comes out of the he comes in, apologizes for being late, because honestly he's a nice guy. I think he's the most chill guy in the show.
So sorry I'm late, Dave. I got lost on the way.
It's an honor to meet you, sir. Welcome. I've dreamed of this day.
He changes into jeans, no shirt, and boxing gloves, and then just beats the shit out of Dave.
My favorite part is when they're fighting and the promoter guy goes, "Is this boxing?"
And yeah, Muhammad Ali Jr. with the gloves. Is this boxing? No.
Well, but then at the end he goes,
"Boxing, huh?"
No. This is much different than boxing.
"It couldn't be further from boxing." Or it's something else entirely. He says something like that.
No, yeah. Honestly, once we get to that plot line, yes, because in the logic of this show, this is not boxing. Even though I would describe it as 100% boxing. But I don't want to... I think that's a season 2 plot point. So we're going to be spending a lot of time with Muhammad Ali Jr., just as a heads up.
Great.
Oh, it is. Oh, there was one other part of this fight that I loved. So the fight versus Dave, like, nothing that interesting happened, but it did take a while. And there was a part where we cut from the hospital, and it's literally all of Baki's friends in Kozue, and Kuraha comes out and says something like, "Baki is going to die." And then it just cuts back to the fight, and it's just got like this like nice 90s R&B bass line, like boom doom 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 doom.
All we can do is pray.
He's going to die. Baki's really going to die.
And like Muhammad Ali's just dancing around the ring. Like, the tonal whiplash in this episode was amazing.
You thought, just knowing this show, that Baki was just gonna die and then we'd just move on forever. Like, knows? I can see that happening.
He might. We don't know what's gonna happen. And on the topic of not knowing what's gonna happen next, we jump to a journalist coming up to a mansion. Where did you think the episode was going at this point?
No, literally no idea. I had no idea who this journalist guy was, why he's driving, like where he's going, like literally just completely new scene.
Yeah, we've never met this character before, and he drives up to a house, probably one of the nicest houses in the world. A very odd looking butler opens the door for him.
Previously said that this show was a good show, and I think this scene is changing my opinion a little bit. There's a lot of problematic things in this scene.
Well, let's get into that. Well, I guess probably the first thing is like whose house it is. So if you haven't guessed, this is Muhammad Ali's house, the world's greatest athlete.
Invited a random journalist too.
A random journalist who is just in awe and terror of this man.
It's him. It's really him. The 20th century's greatest athlete.
Muhammad Ali, I will say that the author has the utmost respect for him in that he will constantly refer to him as the greatest athlete that ever lived.
Yes, that does come across.
Yes. Muhammad Ali is, at this stage in his life, has, I assume it's Parkinson's, like in real life. So he's
well, it's spelled slightly differently for this version of Muhammad Ali. Like Parkinson's with like 2 I's.
Parkinson's with a Z. Yeah.
Yeah, it's slightly different.
So he's got some drool coming down his mouth.
It's like both sides, like very exaggerated animation. Like it is not good.
Yeah, it's definitely an odd, or not odd, but not the best look for him. Now, this reporter has come. I assume there's no like breaking news about Muhammad Ali. This is, I assume, just a biopic or a puff piece. Like, he wants to tell a story about Muhammad Ali, the world's greatest athlete. Muhammad Ali, even though when the initial shots make it look like he's comatose, leads the conversation and decides to ask an inexplicable question. How do I phrase this?
I don't remember what he asked.
Okay, then I'll just say it. He asks, have you ever heard of Yujiro Hanma?
Mr. Journalist, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Well, have you heard of a man named Hanma? Yujiro Hanma. Do you know him?
Like, he asks, like, are you familiar with Baki's dad? To this reporter.
Oh, see, I wouldn't have known that was Baki's dad, so that's probably why I didn't remember.
Yeah, but like this is like
what?
Yeah, so that's what me and Mum are gonna be diving into next week. Spoiler
Wait,
alert.
so he invited a journalist to his house to get information on Baki's dad?
No, but that would be even better. No, he wants to tell the journalist about his experiences with Baki's dad.
Okay. All right.
It is wild.
So he's got a story he's got to get out there.
Yes. Yeah, it would be the equivalent of like the Queen bringing like you in right for one of her final interviews, and she's just like, have you ever heard of George Clooney? I've got a story about him. Oh man, but yeah, so I can't even sometimes with this show. I might have brought this up earlier, but like it kills me the fact that Muhammad Ali Jr. exists, because like Muhammad Ali has a famous child who is a championship level boxer, Layla Ali, but the problem is I don't think once in this entire 25, 30 year whatever manga have two women fought each other or one woman fought anybody. So he had to scrap Layla Ali, who like sounds like a fan fiction character, you know? It's like, oh, Muhammad Ali's daughter who's amazing at fighting. So he has to scrap that idea and create Muhammad Ali Jr. to play the same role. I've always found that so ridiculous.
You've got to play to your audience. Like, I think there would be riots in the street if they were to have a woman fighter. What would be the point of that? There wouldn't be any buff dudes.
That could be her gimmick. She's the woman fighter. She uses her womanly ways. Yeah, no, the more I think about it, I don't think it'd be handled that well. Anyway. Yeah, that's mostly the episode. There's one little teaser at the end where Yujiro
This was amazing.
You know,
oh, no.
You walked through the scene. I actually didn't have time to rewatch that part.
Well, I think I'm talking about a different scene where it's like, last we saw Baki was in the hospital about to die, and then suddenly we're back at home, and goes away. It's just like, Baki, why did you leave the hospital? And he's just like,
it's okay.
Okay.
This is my battle. You just have to trust me.
Trust me.
Baki's not gonna go out that way. He's refusing the hospice care. He's gonna die in his own home.
Also, at one point, he's just like, "It'll be okay," and then goes away immediately. Is like, "Okay." Like, no further questions.
No further questions, Your Honor.
So they just let him walk out of the hospital.
Are you gonna stop Baki? even sick Baki is...
Well, there's nothing to do for him there, so why not just let him leave?
It was, yeah. To be honest, yeah, what are they going to say? Like, yeah, it almost sounded like they just needed the bed. Like, they were just like, there's nothing we can do for you. The door is over there. No, that was a good scene. No, I was just going to say there was a final scene at the end between Yujiro and Muhammad Ali where we learn that Muhammad Ali Jr.'s name is Muhammad Ali Jr., but we sort of took the gas out of that scene already. I was going to add a clip, but I'm just going to play the whole scene because it's incredibly short.
Long time no see. Eh, Mr. Ogre?
Muhammad Ali Jr., all grown up at last. I was a big fan of your father's.
That was a pretty good reveal. There was a lot of twists and turns in this episode. That was when you have a new character show up out of nowhere, you don't think it's going to be Muhammad Ali Jr.
Yeah. Oh man, it honestly feels like this is episode 1 of season 2. You know, like this is it's setting the pieces in place for the whole next arc that's going to happen. Like, how will Baki clear himself of poison? Will Muhammad Ali Jr. get to date Kozue? What's Yujiro
Really?
up to? Really? Well, I can't spoil it. Muhammad Ali Jr. has such a funny arc. Like, he is honestly probably the main character of the next season. Just like the criminals before him, he goes through a roller coaster of an arc before ending in one of the most humiliating and anticlimactic ways possible. But that's going to be what we talk about when I come back from the hiatus. So, Kathryn.
What will the people do without Baki Taki?
Suffer, unfortunately.
It's like we've all tasted defeat. The viewers.
Oh man. So Kathryn, you've already answered this before, so I'm gonna ask you a slightly different question. Now that you've watched episode 6 and episode 24, do you think Baki has improved? Like, the show was getting better in that gap? Or do you think the show has regressed?
I would say overall, like, this episode had a lot. Like, it was kind of like, it's like I got 2 episodes in one. I got, like, an ending of a plot line at the beginning of the next one. But that Muhammad Ali scene was maybe one of the worst things I've ever seen. So I would have to say that this episode has regressed. And I think regressed animation back years and years and years.
Yeah, that's a fair take. The nice thing
but
about...
otherwise, this episode was quite good.
A lot of fun stuff, yeah. And the nice thing is, we're getting a lot of Muhammad Ali Jr. next season. We're not going to be getting too much of Muhammad Ali. He'll come back a little bit though. But yeah, this was a wild episode. I can barely wrap my head around it. Just a few housekeeping notes. Next episode's going to be a big one. My mom will be coming on the show for the first time to talk about more Muhammad Ali stuff, because I know she's a big fan of his. And for the final episode of the season, I'm going to be doing a bit of an award show. So come back next week for the nominations. We're going to figure out who's the best death row inmate, who's the best voice actor, and so forth and so forth. And who knows, maybe
Is it going to be a vote? Can you vote on the Discord?
Oof, yeah, maybe this might be a great opportunity for all of those people who haven't joined the Discord to organically look in the episode description and click that link, and then you can go vote there. So great plug there, Kathryn. Are you in the Discord?
Yes, I am in the Discord because I'm cool.
There we go. All right. Well, that's all the Baki we've got to talkie. Thanks for coming on the episode, Kathryn, and I'll see y'all next week.
Do, 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 do.